Hey guys, I'm Destiny, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the American murder mystery of 1996. This is one of the most well-known mysteries in America, and really what inspired me to talk about this case today was a couple weeks ago I had a friend who asked me who is JonBenet Ramsey, and it really threw me for a loop because who doesn't know who JonBenet Ramsey is? So it kind of made me want to bring light to this case and spread awareness for it. So maybe, hopefully, one day we can find justice for little JonBenet. And I'm a true crime guru. I absolutely am intrigued by true crime, and I watched so many documentaries on JonBenet, so I think that I know quite a bit about this case. So without further ado, I'm just gonna dive right in, and we're gonna talk about some of the theories and the storyline behind this case. So JonBenet was a little pageant queen. She was well known in the pageant world. Her mother was Patsy Ramsey and her father was John Ramsey. She had an older brother named Burke, and they were pretty well off. John had just sold his computer company for over $6 million, and they were just their normal family. Well, on Christmas Day in 1996, they had spent the day with a family friend, and this is normal for a lot of people on Christmas. But when they got home, Patsy tucked JonBenet and Burke in. It was around 11 or 12. It was past their bedtime, and she went to bed. The next morning, she woke up to go find JonBenet, and this was around 6 a.m. that she woke up, and JonBenet was not in her bed. She walked down the stairs and she found a ransom note. Now, I have the ransom note right here, a copy of it, and you can see that it is extremely messy and it's just extremely creepy. So the ransom note entailed a couple different things. It said it was from a foreign faction, and they wanted $118,000 specifically for JonBenet's return. They would call around 8 to 10 a.m. as long as they didn't involve the police. And it was signed SBTC, and no one could ever figure out what this meant. So the Ramseys decided to call the police.
Girl.
What's going on there, ma'am? We have a kidnapping. Hurry, please. Explain to me what's going on, okay? There's a note left in our garbage can.
And the police came and they monitored phones, and no phone call ever came. They did notice, however, that there was no footprints in the snow and there was no sign of forced entry on the front side of the house. They did not check the back side of the house, the basement, or anything. That being said, there was a lot of mistakes that authorities made during this investigation. They only cautioned off JonBenet's room, and so people were walking around the entire house, compromising evidence. And when the phone call did not come from this SBTC, the police told John to go and check the rest of the house, make sure he didn't miss anything. Well, John went to the basement and he found JonBenet, and she was covered in a white blanket and with a duct tape mouth. And so he brought her upstairs, and this really destroyed any evidence at the scene, where she died. So that's pretty much all of the evidence they actually have from, this case. They did do an autopsy, and it revealed that she had ate pineapple before she died, she was strangled, and that there was foreign DNA on her underwear. So that's really all that there is. Now, some of the theories, there are two types of theories. One involves in-family and one involves an intruder. So John and Patsy Ramsey were immediately considered suspects given the information with this case, and they did a handwriting sample, and John passed it. He was considered, no, this is not his handwriting, but Patsy was considered inconclusive. And some think that they may have accidentally killed her, or they were jealous of her popularity. Now, the other one is Burke, and I can see this one more likely because of, I think maybe he was jealous or something. He refused any interviews once he got older. He was only 9 years old, but they did find pineapple in her system, and they found a bowl of pineapple on the counter with Burke's handprints on it, and Patsy said she never knew of Burke eating pineapple or anything. And here's a video, and it really creeps me out, of Burke, and maybe it'll just kind of show you a thing or two about what I mean.
I remember the casket was small and her eyes were closed. I think one of her eyes was a little bit droopy or something. I thought that was weird.
How did you feel seeing her?
A lot of sadness. I don't think I really fully grasped, after this, I won't see her again.
In an interview with Dr. Phil.
The next thing I remember, my dad came and told me JonBenet is in heaven now, and he started crying. Then I started crying.
Burke, who was reportedly paid for the interview, is the only family member in the house the night of the murder who's never come forward with his side of the story.
Did you hit your sister over the head with a baseball bat or a flashlight?
Absolutely not.
Burke says he stayed in bed for hours as dozens of investigators and loved ones swarmed the house.
Critics would say you weren't curious because you already knew. He didn't have to get up and go check because he knew exactly what had happened.
I mean, I didn't know if there was some bad guy downstairs and my dad was chasing off with a gun.
Burke Ramsey has been one of the most sought-after interviews by every news and tabloid organization out there, because back at the time, people were saying, oh, maybe Burke did it, or what does Burke know?
Aside from Burke, there's a handful of people that they've looked into. These include a family friend named Bill Reynolds, 2 child predators in the area, Gary Oliva and John Mark Carr, and the Hulu documentary Hunting JonBenet's Killer goes into more detail on that if you're interested. But in conclusion, this American mystery has haunted the United States for almost 25 years, and we are no closer to finding the killer. Hopefully justice will be served. I sure hope it is, and I hope that you have created your own opinions about this case. I personally have, but thank you so much for listening to our speech today. I hope you enjoyed.